Dr. Gao, thank you so much for agreeing to talk with us this morning.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So my first question to you is the board fired you or basically demoted you from your position as chancellor there at UW-La Crosse for various internet postings on social media and things that tie you and your wife to the production of salacious videos and the porn industry. My first question for you is, are you surprised that the board took this action given how very public that activity was?
Well, when in that activity, which also includes writing books, and these are serious works that we examine consensual adult sexuality, so we would think that would be protected by the First Amendment. But we don't identify ourselves as being affiliated with the university or my role as chancellor. Those things are done as private citizens.
But Chancellor Gao, let me respond to that immediately. Erik and I, we do a talk show here, and I have a private life outside of when I turn off this microphone, but there is no question that our company holds us to a standard of behavior out in public. I'm never not the host of this radio show, as you're never not the chancellor at UW-La Crosse. So while you don't explicitly tie your other dealings to your role as chancellor, wouldn't you agree that you have a certain standard out in the community?
Well, let's say that we make that association, and I'm an educator, and we have a concept called academic freedom and freedom of thought and ideas, and so that's what we're operating under. So I think the board is not upholding, the First Amendment, nor is it upholding its own policy on academic freedom, or is it upholding a very rich tradition at the University of Wisconsin of what's called the fearless sifting and winnowing in the search for the truth. So there are some complexities here that I think people are overlooking.
But something changed recently, right, Dr. Gao? Like at first with your books or with the videos, they weren't as public, or was it something where you decided recently? I thought I saw in your statement that this was something where you had decided to make it more of a public activity recently, and then that ultimately led to the termination yesterday?
Well, I wouldn't say more of a public activity, but more widely available, yes.
Okay.
And let's remember that nobody is forcing anybody to read anything or watch anything they don't want to. So you have to be interested in this kind of material to go out and find it. So it really is, kind of, I don't know what people are objecting to.
Well, I guess what I would say to that, I'll speak for Vince, I think, because I think he agrees with me. Anyone can do whatever they want. As far as what they're doing legally, that's their own business. So you and your wife doing this, that's your business. I'm not going to, challenge that or question that. To each their own, if you will. But I guess for me, it goes back to La Crosse. Is it possible that this can hurt the credibility of the institution? If someone is considering applying or right now, if you Google UW-La Crosse, this is probably going to come up. And would that actually hurt the institution?
Well, look at Erik and I have kids who are of that age, or they're making these college choices. And, if it can be seen by the Board of Regents that this would negatively impact the ability to recruit to La Crosse or for families to feel comfortable sending their kids there, I would suggest that might be a legitimate reason to look at your employment there.
I don't think that's the case. And why I say that is because 5 years ago, we had an adult film actress and educator, Nina Hartley, come and speak at our campus. And there was quite a controversy, and, much as there is now. And enrollment went up after that. So that might suggest that college-age people are interested in being somewhere where they have the freedom to explore sexuality.
Fair enough. So it's called Sexy Happy Couple, right? So that is your account name. What's the ultimate goal? Are you like Food Network or something like that? Is there a hope to make this larger, like a syndication or something like that?
Well, I'm glad that you got that, because most people don't. I mean, a big part of what we're doing is cooking vegan food, and my wife is an outstanding cook, and I think the world should see that, and who knows where that might lead. And I'm just the husband in that. That's why I say it's more of a, private citizen kind of thing than acting in an official capacity.
Dr. Gao, in terms of how you move forward with the University of Wisconsin system, or now Universities of Wisconsin, have you got a lawyer? Are you considering litigation? Is that something that are you going to continue to fight this?
Well, I'm very concerned that there was no due process around this, and what that entails is having a hearing, and I get to know what I'm charged with, and then I get to reply and make my case. That never happened. So certainly I'm very concerned about that, and we'll look into my legal options. And then the other question about the First Amendment freedom being violated there, too, that may have legal consequences.
So if you were like smoking marijuana in a video, would that be different than this?
I don't quite understand your example.
Well, I'm just trying to think of something else that is, I mean, it's not illegal in many places to consume marijuana. So if you went to Minnesota and did something like that, something that could be considered, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Is these apples and oranges? I'm not trying to compare marijuana to sex or anything like that, but I'm trying to find something that someone may object to or may question, but not illegal.
Well, okay. I think I have a better example, but again, not perfect. But there was a time when sports gambling was certainly illegal and viewed as immoral and wrong, and look where we are today. So I think sexuality is very similar, although it's never been illegal, but people getting a little more comfortable with it and talking about it, as we are here right now.
I want to ask you about, in terms of pornography, and again, as Erik indicated, he did represent my view on it, but you do you, and if you're engaged in a legal thing, which, much of the content that is available to people is entirely legal, so that's your business. But in terms of the damage that it may have on people who become addicted to it, people who have problems or take it from what is once legal and then go into these darker areas where some of it is illegal. It involves trafficking or children or the like. I mean, your association with something that might be a gateway to those other darker things, Dr. Gao, I think is also troublesome for someone who might lead one of our universities.
Well, now that is something that actually is what motivated us to make our material. And I don't know whether you've seen any of it, but it's not violent, it's not unethical, it's not exploitative. It's a couple, and we're both. I'm 63 years old, and my wife is in her late 50s, so there's no issues around young age or anything like that. So, yeah, I can't not defend all of pornography. Certainly don't want to, but our work, I certainly will.
Dr. Joe Gao, we certainly appreciate your time, and we'll see what comes next, and stay in touch.
Okay, thanks for hearing me.
That is Dr. Joe Gao. He was unanimously voted by the UW Board of Regents to be fired from his position as Chancellor at UW-La Crosse, sharing his perspective. And again, I think it's clear, Erik, we haven't heard the last of how he plans to fight this.
Going to move forward with this one.